Welcome to the light at the end of the funnel. This podcast is all about tangible solutions to common online marketing challenges. And it's also about the lighter side of entrepreneurship, the motivation, the innovation, the inspiration, and the growth mindset needed to build a business that stands the test of time and stands the test of the unexpected. I'm your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark, and I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. So let's dig in. Hey everyone, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark here, your host of Light at the End of the Funnel. And I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. We're going to go over some of the funnel pieces, but we're actually going to take a break from the normal automated funnel. And I want to talk to you guys about something that has worked so well. And it doesn't matter what stage of business that you're in. If you have this piece down, you are going to be successful. You are going to be successful in your business. You are going to be successful in any partnerships you come across. This is all about organic. And it's really interesting because I think that organic market, and it's organic marketing, by the way. And I think that people have a misconception of what organic marketing really is. And organic marketing is authentic conversations. And some people will say that it's SEO. I'm like, yes. And organic is how we are communicating in a natural way with people. So with that being a well-known definition, organic marketing is pretty broad. So in terms of what I'm going to talk about today, organic marketing, we're going to talk about how to do this online. So organic marketing online. And I know a lot of people are just like, oh, I hate it when people do organic marketing online because they end up in my DMs and all they do is sell. I'm not going to teach you guys that today. In fact, the reason I'm teaching this is so that people see what is actually possible when we do organic marketing. So I actually lay this out very differently for my clients when we're breaking down, okay, so how are we going to do our organic marketing game? Any day of the week. In fact, we do want to be marketing ourselves. And I have kind of a nice little measurement for people based on where they are in their business, and just like, well, how much are you trying to fill when it comes to your programs, your services, and your products? So based on that and based on your timelines, you may need to do more marketing and more organic marketing than you do automation and advertising. It just depends. And even if you are fully automated and you're advertising, you don't want to put all of your eggs in that basket. You want to spread it out. And even the bigger names out there in the entrepreneurial field, they do not spend all their money on advertising. They spend somewhere between 40 to 60%. And then the other piece of their marketing is organic. It's engagement. It's getting feedback from their ideal clients. It's talking with them, or it's teaching their teams and their sales teams and their marketing teams to talk to them. So this is how I break this down for my clients, because we always want to start with the end in mind. And so the end goal for most people when they're doing organic marketing is just a sales conversation. Like, I want to get these guys into my sales pipeline. That's what I want to do with my marketing. Organic marketing, regular marketing, advertising, that's the idea. Yes, that is usually the end goal. So this is where we need to backtrack. So I will actually skip a step, and I'll tell you why. And this is because we're putting marketing into there every day. And normally people take off the weekends, which I think is great. If you guys want to work on the weekends, then this can fit into that schedule too. But we want to backtrack from angle to, all right, so if that's the idea, what is our expectation on any given day to hit that goal? And this is this is where people are like, well, and I usually will ask the question, I'm like, can you get people into a sales conversation and get them onto a sales call if they're a cold lead? We're going to start with a cold lead. The answer is usually no, not in a day. I'm like, okay, so what is a good expectation for any given day? And so most of them will say, well, a good expectation is to make a good impression. Awesome. So we want to make a good impression with the people, with the cold leads that we talk to. And another expectation is like, I just want them to respond back to me today. So I want to be able to say something in a DM or in a conversation where they're going to respond back to me. And that's in a cold lead, new connection scenario. So we also have people that do organic marketing through networking. And so they may have a different goal for that scenario, but we have to base it on scenarios. So we want to know that expectation any given day. And so it goes end goal and then expectation any given day, right? But we want to keep a space between there because we're not done yet. So I'm like, awesome. So we've got a little bit of a gap between end goal and expectation on what we do that day. What do we need to put in there? How many touch points, how many conversations is it going to take to get to that sales call? So this is where people get a little tripped up, like, well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, that's all right too. We're going to guess, and then we're going to come back and fix if it's not accurate. So that's where a guesstimate usually comes in. So then we have a nice little list of end goal, how many touch points before that sales call, expectations on any given day, right? That's where we go. So, and we put any notes in there that we need to put, like, okay, what do we need to do in order to get people to respond or to meet those expectations on any given day? What are some of the things that we need to have? So we'll have those in place. So that's the first three. And remember, we're backtracking. So the next thing is that I like to ask is like, okay, so based on those expectations, what are some of our timelines? Meaning, when we do this type of organic marketing, how long is it going to take from start to finish to hit that end goal? And so most people will have like, well, usually when I meet somebody cold and I do organic marketing, it takes me anywhere from a week to 3 months to go ahead and close them, which are pretty good. That's a pretty good number. That means that you're really good at networking. Now, for people who aren't really good at networking, they have a lot to figure out along the way. That number could be more. That could be more like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, up to 6 months or a year. They may need to nurture people for a while. So these timelines, while yes, we may be guessing on them, we can adjust them. And the goal is, yes, to get the sales conversation, but also there's another goal that we don't usually think about. It's to get better. It's to get better at organic marketing, putting ourselves out there, moving people through an engagement process. So just know that there's so much grace and so much room involved in organic marketing. So timelines based on expectations with our DMs. It could be per platform. Based on that, the next backtrack from there is, how many hours per day do we need in order to move people through into our sales cycle so that we hit our numbers? And so most people won't know those numbers. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you are simply nurturing for a one-on-one or something that is always kind of rolling, like a rolling program or rolling mastermind, then you can easily spend 25 to 33% of your time, so a quarter to a third of your day, on marketing. That's a really good rule of thumb. If you were trying to fill a program very quickly, then I would bump that up. I would double it. So let's just say that you are usually at a quarter of your time to get people into rolling programs or services that are always available. You want to bump up your marketing to 50% of your time to quickly fill. Maybe you're trying to fill a group program, for example. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb to go by. Now, if you feel like that's too much time or you don't have that much time, then you can scale back, but you also need to give yourself the time and the grace to fill whatever program you're trying to fill. So just calculate and adjust, calculate and adjust. So that is that backtrack. Now, then we want to go into, okay, so now I know how many hours per day I need to do this type of organic marketing. What's the next step back? Well, we want to know what marketing platforms you're going to be doing organic marketing on. And you want to start with the best. So list out your best ones to your not so great ones. So best to worst. So if you have the best results on LinkedIn, then you want to start with LinkedIn. That's going to be your number one. That's going to be where you spend more time too. If you do Facebook, Instagram, maybe you do email marketing, maybe you do networking, you want to list that out based on results that you've gotten in the past. So list them out and then write in how many hours per day or 3 times per week that you're going to spend on that platform doing organic marketing, right? So you can tell we're just planning here. We're laying it all out so that we have a plan and a system in place. So that's the backtrack. That's the last backtrack. Then we want to put together the schedule, organic marketing schedule. You can put it into a beautiful table and then just put in a time. So here's the thing is that if we don't put this information into our calendar, then chances of us doing it are slim. So if we don't have this, the more you put things on paper, the more you put things in your calendar, the more likely you are to stick with it. So, and I'm so guilty of this, especially when I first started, is that I would say, okay, I'm going to go out and organic market and network from 8 to 10 in the morning, every morning, 5 days a week. Now, if I didn't have it blocked off in my calendars, and guess what happened? People would schedule calls during that. People would ask me to do work and I would do it because I didn't have anything to hold me accountable. My calendar holds me accountable. Put your marketing in your calendar, block off that time. You need to. Even if you are super accountable and you're really good at keeping that, you've got to get into, if you're not used to it, you've got to get into the habit of it. So put it in your calendar. So have that schedule done, and then you can move into organic marketing and that messaging. So I have 3 rules. I will go into these in another podcast episode, guys. But I'm just going to tell you the 3 rules, and then we can dig into those a little bit more next time, though, because this is a 2-parter. So we're just doing part 1 right now. Organic marketing, rules of organic marketing. 1, don't be gross. Don't be gross. And try to sell. We're in the DMs, or we're doing organic marketing to build relationships. Yes, the end goal is to have a sales conversation. I get that. We need to start with the trust first. We have to build the relationship. So don't be gross in the DMs. 2, make it about them. That's it. Just make it about them. Like, make it about them. Be intentional and be authentic. So we need to leave people with a good feeling in the DMs. So they need to leave the conversation with us feeling good, trusting us, and wanting to talk to us again. That's how they want to feel. And if they don't, it's okay. We try again. And then we just try again. So you guys don't have to worry about this, like, oops, because we've even done it. We've tested it. We've wanted to see. Sometimes I just want to test out opportunities, and I'm just like, well, let's just see if this can turn a certain way if I take this approach. So I test out opportunities and approaches all the time. And so where it becomes really important is the grace that you give yourself as you're moving along, and you're learning too. Like, there's always different things to try and different ways to talk to people and communicate, but the whole thing is that you want to show up too. So that is part of it. Be intentional, be authentic. And the 3rd rule, ask open-ended questions to keep the conversation going. So we want to ask them questions that are left open. They're not yes or no questions. They are questions that they have to insert more information about themselves, hopefully, too, and what they're doing. So that is kind of how I lay out organic marketing. I've left you guys with my top 3 rules of organic marketing without going into too much detail. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And so here is the action step for you, because there's always a good action step. I want you guys to really dig in deep to your timelines based on your expectations of how long it takes from cold prospect to sales call. Like, that's it. Just take one piece of this and really dig into that. And the reason I ask you guys to do that is because I find that most people's expectations of what they can do with organic marketing are way off. In fact, they are overestimating they are overestimating what they need to do in order to get to that sales call. So overestimating how they're overestimating and just how great they're going to be in the DMs. Like, I can just turn somebody just like that. And here's the thing is that it takes practice, and you really have to know your ideal client. So I want you guys, if you're going to do any overestimating when it comes to your timelines, give yourself more time. That's how I want you to overestimate. Overestimate the timeline in terms of just how long it's going to take. So if you think it's going to take a month, give yourself 2 months. Give yourself 2 months to close that sale. And the reason why is that, and it's so interesting how everything has changed, but people have their attention spans have gotten smaller, and their expectations of what people are to do have gotten larger. So people will give you less time to do more. So what do we have to do? We need more time, more touch points, more chances for trust. That's what we need. So I want you guys to go back and really think about your timelines, really think about what it takes for people to trust you, to have a conversation, and to see that you are the person they need to talk to next to get to where they want to be. So that's it. If you guys want a breakdown of all of this, you can come over to the show notes page. It's at lightthefunnel.com. I break this down for you, and we will have a part 2 to this, which will go into how we do the messaging for organic marketing and how we break that down, because it's super good information, guys. So I hope that supports. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to Light at the End of the Funnel, and help a marketer out. We always can use some love. Share, like, and subscribe. That is the best thing that you can do for any podcast. So if you like what we're giving you guys at Light at the End of the Funnel, please go ahead and share that out, and don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.